I wanted to do a little update on this plant that I had in my orchid house, my little terrarium, and I didn't really know what it was. I had purchased it and it just said tropical foliage, and a viewer had commented that it's called a bromeliad, so thank you very much. I was able to take that breadcrumb and do some research and find out what type of bromeliad this is. Now this is called a starlight bromeliad. It's a miniature or a compact variety. It's really good for indoors. It's really good for terrariums. It's going to be about 6 inches across in total at full growth, which is a fantastic size. It does like a little bit more humid conditions, which again is really good for keeping, in a little terrarium if you need to. Or on your counter is pretty much good as well. Now this little fella here is an epiphyte, which means that its roots do get a lot of its nutrients from the air. Epiphytes, like orchids, typically are found on trees and they use their roots more or less to anchor themselves to things. This particular variety actually is called a terrestrial epiphyte, which means that it does like a little bit of soil. So what I've been able to research is the best potting medium for the starlight here is about a third dirt, about a third fine or medium orchid bark, depending on the size of the pot. You're going to put in a little bit of sphagnum moss to help hold moisture, and then some perlite to help with drainage. So you kind of mix all that together and then put it in here, and then I sort of topped it off with another light layer of sphagnum moss, just because the bark doesn't tend to hold as much moisture as the moss, and this is in a smaller pot. So that's pretty much the setup there. And you do want these in a little bit of a smaller pot rather than a larger pot. Like orchids, they like to be a little crowded. That doesn't mean that they like to be root bound. You don't want any roots popping out of the top here. But their roots are friendly. They like to cuddle, so a little smaller is better for them. You want to make sure that all your leaves are outside of the medium. You don't want any buried in there. And this little guy is pretty happy because he's really sort of stretched up since I got him. When I originally purchased him, he was in a smaller pot than this, and he was flat pretty much to the top, and he's just really sort of been stretching up. So I know I've got him in conditions that are really good for him. But you want to make sure that you water these with a purified water. Now, a lot of the bromeliads like to be watered right through their center. They have a small cup here. Not particularly these type. They don't have a cup, so to speak. They have a little hole in there, but that's not necessarily really called a cup on this particular one. So you want to water, around the base, and pretty much that's the Starlight Bromeliad. So I hope that encourages someone maybe to try one of these. They're really fun. I'm finding that I am enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. So thank you for the little tip there, and hopefully that answers some questions someone might have had about it.